What if I told you that the thing you think is protecting you, your constant worrying, your mental rehearsals of disaster, your endless what-if scenarios, is actually the very thing that's keeping you trapped in the life you're trying to escape from? You've been sold a lie. Society has convinced you that worry is preparation, that anxiety is awareness, that constantly thinking through every possible outcome is how responsible people navigate the world. But here's what they didn't tell you. Worrying is not planning, anxiety is not intuition, and mental rehearsal of problems is not problem solving. What I'm about to share with you isn't positive thinking or mindfulness fluff. It's something far more practical and immediately applicable. Something that, once you understand it, will fundamentally change how you approach uncertainty, challenge, and the unknown parts of your life. Let's start with a question that might make you uncomfortable. When was the last time worrying actually solved a problem for you? Not when thinking about a problem led to action. That's different. I'm talking about pure worry. That mental spinning, that repetitive cycling through worst-case scenarios, that feeling of being productive while actually accomplishing nothing. You know what I'm talking about. It's 2 a.m. and you're lying awake running through tomorrow's presentation for the 100th time. It's standing in line at the grocery store, mentally rehearsing an argument with your partner that hasn't even happened. It's checking your phone obsessively for news that confirms your fears about the future. Here's what's really happening. You've confused mental activity with meaningful action. Your brain has convinced you that by thinking about problems, you're somehow addressing them. But worry isn't a form of problem solving. It's a form of mental masturbation that feels productive but produces nothing. And here's the kicker. Worry doesn't just fail to solve problems. It actively prevents you from seeing solutions. When your mind is locked in repetitive anxiety cycles, you're not present to notice opportunities. You're not calm enough to think clearly, and you're not available to respond to what's actually happening in real time. Think about it. Every major breakthrough in your life, every time you successfully navigated a real challenge, every moment when you performed at your best, were you worrying in those moments? Or were you present, focused, and responding to what was actually in front of you? But why do we worry? Why does this completely unproductive mental habit feel so necessary, so important, so impossible to stop? Because worry gives us the illusion of control. It makes us feel like we're doing something about uncertain situations. It's our mind's way of trying to predict and prepare for every possible outcome so that we never have to face the unknown unprepared. The problem is, life is fundamentally uncertain. No amount of mental preparation can eliminate that uncertainty. No amount of worrying can guarantee outcomes. No amount of anxiety can prevent unexpected events from occurring. You're trying to achieve the impossible, complete certainty in an inherently uncertain world. And this impossible goal is exhausting you, paralyzing you, and preventing you from engaging with the life that's actually happening right now. Here's a truth that might initially feel terrifying but is ultimately liberating. You cannot control most of what happens to you, but you have complete control over how you respond to what happens to you. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending that bad things don't happen. Bad things happen. Unexpected challenges arise. Life throws curveballs. That's not changing. What can change is your relationship to uncertainty itself. Most people spend their entire lives fighting against uncertainty, trying to eliminate it, trying to predict and control every variable. But what if uncertainty isn't the enemy? What if uncertainty is actually the source of all possibility, all growth, all adventure, all transformation? When you're constantly worried about what might happen, you're not available for what is happening. When you're mentally rehearsing future disasters, you're missing present opportunities. When you're trying to control outcomes, you're not able to influence them effectively. So if worry doesn't protect you, what does? If anxiety isn't preparation, what is? If mental rehearsal isn't problem solving, what actually helps you navigate life's challenges? Presence. Not as some mystical concept, but as a practical skill. The ability to be fully engaged with whatever is actually happening right now, instead of being lost in mental projections about what might happen later. When you're truly present, you have access to information that worry blocks. You can sense subtle changes in situations. You can notice opportunities as they emerge. You can respond to challenges with creativity and flexibility instead of reacting from pre-programmed anxiety patterns. Adaptability. Instead of trying to predict and control every possible outcome, you develop the capacity to respond skillfully to whatever actually occurs. This isn't about being passive or unprepared. It's about being responsive rather than reactive. Think about water. Water doesn't worry about the shape of its container. It doesn't spend mental energy trying to predict what form it will need to take. It simply adapts to whatever container it finds itself in while maintaining its essential nature. This is the kind of fluid responsiveness that actually protects you in an uncertain world. Competence. Instead of worrying about whether you can handle future challenges, you focus on developing actual skills, actual capabilities, actual resources that serve you regardless of what specific challenges arise. This is the difference between worrying about public speaking and actually practicing public speaking. The difference between being anxious about financial security and actually learning about money management. The difference between fearing relationship conflict and actually developing communication skills. Trust. Not blind optimism, but earned confidence in your ability to handle whatever life presents. This trust isn't built through mental rehearsal of perfect scenarios. It's built through actual experience of successfully navigating real challenges. Every time you respond skillfully to an unexpected situation, you build evidence that you can handle uncertainty. Every time you adapt successfully to change, you prove to yourself that you're more resilient than your worry mind believes you are. Here's something that will probably sound counterintuitive. The best preparation for an uncertain future is complete engagement with the present moment. When you're fully present, you're not depleting your mental and emotional resources on imaginary scenarios. You're conserving your energy for actual challenges. You're developing your capacity to think clearly under pressure. You're training your ability to see opportunities that anxiety blinds you to. Most people think they need to figure everything out in advance. They believe that the more they think about potential problems, the better prepared they'll be to handle them. But this is backwards. The more you practice being present to what's actually happening, the more capable you become of responding skillfully to whatever happens. Presence isn't about achieving some Zen-like state of eternal calm. It's about being awake to reality as it actually is, instead of being lost in mental projections about reality as you fear it might become. When you're present, you notice things. You see patterns. You spot opportunities. You sense when situations are shifting before they fully shift. This kind of real-time awareness is infinitely more valuable than any amount of mental preparation because it allows you to respond to what's actually occurring instead of what you imagined might occur. And here's what's beautiful about presence. It's available right now. You don't have to wait until you've solved all your problems or eliminated all your uncertainties. You can be present to this moment with all its imperfections and uncertainties, and in doing so, you immediately access a different way of being in the world. But presence requires something that our culture actively discourages: the willingness to not know. The comfort with uncertainty that allows you to engage with life as it unfolds, instead of constantly trying to figure it all out in advance. This might be the most important thing I share in this entire video. Your need to know everything in advance is what's keeping you stuck. We live in a culture that worships information and despises uncertainty. We're constantly consuming content about how to predict markets, how to read people, how to plan for every possible future scenario. But all this mental preparation is actually making you less capable of handling real-life situations. Why? Because real life doesn't follow scripts. Real challenges don't match your mental rehearsals. Real opportunities don't announce themselves with clear instructions. When you're locked into needing to know how things will turn out before you engage with them, you can only take actions that feel safe and predictable. But safe and predictable actions rarely lead to meaningful growth or significant change. The most powerful actions you can take are the ones you take without knowing exactly how they'll turn out. Starting a conversation without knowing where it will lead. Making a career move without guaranteeing the outcome. Beginning a creative project without knowing if it will succeed. This isn't reckless behavior. It's intelligent engagement with uncertainty. It's recognizing that uncertainty isn't the enemy of good decisions. It's the context in which all real decisions must be made. When you try to eliminate uncertainty through worry and mental preparation, you're not actually becoming more prepared. You're becoming more rigid, more attached to specific outcomes, more devastated when reality doesn't match your expectations. But when you develop comfort with not knowing, you become more flexible, more adaptive, more able to recognize and respond to opportunities as they actually present themselves, rather than as you imagined they might. So how do you actually build this capacity? How do you develop the kind of real resilience that serves you in an uncertain world, instead of the false security that worry promises but never delivers? First, practice engaging with small uncertainties. Start conversations without knowing where they'll go. Try new activities without researching them exhaustively first. Make decisions based on what feels right now, not on what guarantees specific outcomes. Every time you engage with uncertainty and discover that you can handle whatever emerges, you build genuine confidence. Not the fake confidence that comes from trying to control everything, but real confidence that comes from knowing you can respond skillfully to whatever happens. Second, develop your response capacity instead of your prediction capacity. Instead of trying to anticipate every possible challenge, focus on building skills that serve you regardless of what specific challenges arise. Communication skills help you in every relationship, whether the conflicts that arise are the ones you worried about or completely different ones. Financial literacy helps you in any economic situation, whether the market does what the experts predict or something entirely unexpected. Problem-solving skills, emotional regulation, creative thinking, physical health, meaningful relationships, These are the kinds of resources that actually protect you because they're useful regardless of which specific scenarios unfold. Third, learn to distinguish between productive preparation and useless worry. Productive preparation involves taking concrete actions based on current information. Useless worry involves mental spinning about hypothetical scenarios. Buying insurance is productive preparation. Obsessing about whether you have enough coverage is useless worry. Learning new skills is productive preparation. Constantly doubting whether your skills will be sufficient is useless worry. Fourth, cultivate presence as a daily practice. Not as a spiritual discipline, but as a practical skill. The more time you spend engaged with what's actually happening right now, the less time you spend lost in anxious projections about what might happen later. This doesn't require meditation retreats or mindfulness apps. It just requires repeatedly bringing your attention back to whatever you're actually doing, instead of letting it drift into mental scenarios about future problems. Here's what happens when you stop trying to eliminate uncertainty and start embracing it as the context of all meaningful action. You become free. Free from the exhausting mental loops of worry. Free from the paralysis of needing to know outcomes before taking action. Free from the disappointment that comes when reality doesn't match your expectations. But more than that, you become available for a completely different kind of life experience. A life where you can respond creatively to whatever emerges, instead of reactively to whatever you feared. You start making decisions based on what feels alive and meaningful, not on what feels safe and predictable. You start engaging with opportunities as they actually present themselves, not as you think they should present themselves. You begin to see uncertainty not as a problem to be solved, but as the very condition that makes growth, adventure, and transformation possible. After all, if you already knew how everything was going to turn out, where would be the room for surprise, discovery, or genuine change? This is the real secret that worry has been hiding from you. Uncertainty isn't the enemy of a good life. It's the prerequisite for a great life. Every meaningful relationship began with the uncertainty of not knowing how the other person would respond. Every significant achievement started with the uncertainty of not knowing whether you could actually pull it off. Every moment of genuine joy arose from the uncertainty of not knowing exactly what would happen next. Worrying won't save you because it's trying to solve the wrong problem. It's trying to eliminate uncertainty from life, when uncertainty is life. But what I've shared with you today will save you, because it's teaching you to dance with uncertainty instead of fighting against it. The next time you catch yourself worrying about what might happen, remember this: your capacity to respond to reality is always greater than your ability to predict it. Stop trying to prepare for every possible future and start developing your ability to engage skillfully with whatever future actually arrives. That's what real security looks like. That's what genuine confidence feels like. And that's what will actually serve you in an uncertain world. If this resonated with you, do me a favor. Drop a comment below and just say, "Worry won't save me." I want to see how many of you are ready to stop using anxiety as a security blanket and start building real confidence instead. Speaking of building real capabilities instead of managing imaginary fears, I've put together some additional insights in my latest ebook that you can find in the description below. It explores some of the deeper principles we've touched on today, but in a different context. The most powerful thing you can do right now is choose one small area where you've been worrying instead of acting, and take one concrete step forward without needing to know exactly where it leads. Your future self will thank you for learning to trust your ability to handle whatever comes next.